Hi, folks. It's Keith Beardsley, A Tory Zero One, back with another blog looking at some of the happenings up here in Ottawa on the Hill. So, what we're going to look at today is this business of the government funding of media, especially so-called legacy media, as though somehow they're more important than the rest. There's a lot of questions around this. Should the government be funding newspapers, the very people that cover what they do, the very people that cover their scandals? I personally don't think so. Should the government be funding now reporters' salaries? Because that's what they're doing. They're giving enough money to cover 30 odd percent of various reporters' salaries. Again, that smells. No matter what business you're in, you don't pay your opponents money to cover you. And yes, the media is an opponent to government, it's an opponent to all political parties. So here the government is funding the very people who should be attacking, investigating, researching their actions. That smells, no matter how you look at it. Things change. Legacy media has to change as well. If it doesn't adapt, it fails. It shuts down. It's as simple as that. Look, I go all the way back to the days of the reading room on Parliament Hill in the main parliamentary building there, the center block. I remember the reading room as it was intended to be, a reading room, not a committee room. You walked in there, it was like walking into a library. There were racks and racks and racks of newspapers from all over the country. And you sat down and you could pick out anyone you want and get caught up on the news from anywhere in the country. You can't do that anymore because it's not necessary. Legacy media, how many of you have gone out and bought a newspaper? Do you even remember the last time you bought a newspaper? I don't. It was probably a decade or more ago that I actually paid for a newspaper. Simply don't need them. For one thing, they're online. That's where most Canadians are now. They're online. The quality of the reporting has gone down. Now, I go back to the days when you had some of the best reporters in the business questioning whether you were on the opposition side or whether you were in government. These guys went after you, top notch investigative reporters. I don't see that from most media now. What I see are young reporters that they've hired to try and save money on big salaries, who live on their iPad, who take government notes and government talk points when they're sent to them and try and turn it into a story. For those of you that have been on Twitter and a news story breaks, some reporter breaks a news story. Like for the next 3 hours, you've got breaking news, breaking news, breaking news from every single reporter that's on there, even though they have nothing to do with the breaking story. They're just going to copy it or paraphrase it. So you have to change. Some of you will remember those black phones we used to have in the house on our landlines. How many of you have those now? Legacy media has to change. And the government shouldn't be the ones using your tax money to pay the very people who are supposed to be keeping an eye on what the government is doing. Keith Beardsley, A Tory 01, wishing you a great day.